If you're starting to lose distance when you play golf, I promise you're not alone. It's something we see all the time as coaches. And unfortunately, a lot of the people I work with, they go about fixing it or trying to get that distance back in the wrong way. Everything that they try to do, and they're doing it with good intentions, just doesn't seem to work and oftentimes makes them worse. It causes them to hit the ball. They lose some of the functionality of their swing, and they just get shorter and shorter and shorter, even though they're trying harder and harder. What I'm going to try and show you today is a very simple and easy tip that can help get you over that hump and start getting things moving in the right direction, so that even though you may not feel like you're working harder, you can hit the ball further and further. That's what we're looking for. You don't have to accept the distance is going to decrease, especially as you get older and older. A lot of times I see people who don't hit it far enough, and it's only because they're not hitting the ball well. It has nothing to do with speed. Now, having more speed will help, but oftentimes when we create this setup position and this little kind of system that we're going to go over here, the speed increases without them trying any harder. I work with golfers almost every day that have lost distance or are losing distance, and they just can't seem to get it back. So what I'm going to lay out for you is a bit of a pattern or a bit of a system that can help you hit the ball solid, hit it more consistently, and ideally hit it further without having to work too hard. Here's what I tend to see, and this is where it starts. When golfers get set up and they try to hit the ball harder and harder, they start to get a little bit off with their setup, and then everything tumbles downhill from there. So the thing I see all the time was when players try to hit it harder is they start to work and they start to force it and they start to try and rip this club through, hoping the club head will speed up, and it actually slows everything down. What we're looking for here, again, the first piece of it that I see that where people go wrong is when they get set up, they get their trail arm or their right arm on top, because this feels like it's strong. Okay, so they get their right arm on top, their left arm underneath or their lead arm underneath, and from there this creates this chain of events that makes it harder for them to actually hit the ball solid. When we set up on the wrong foot, again, what I tend to see from here is shoulders tilted, trail arm on top, and then from here they go to rip the club back, and because they can't move very well from here, because this limits their ability to turn, now the arms and hands get long, and again, to them, feeling like the club goes further makes it feel like they're going to generate more speed, but what happens is they just get more and more out of sequence. And then from there, when they try to swing at the ball, not only are they not functional, but they lose all of their athleticism. What it looks like from there is the club gets long and usually like over the top. We see some club face gets open, and then when they go to hit it, they go hard, but they chop down across it, and it causes this kind of weak, wipey slice, or they see a big pull hook. Again, kind of the misses we're looking for. They don't hit it solid, and the ball goes shorter and shorter. What it tends to look like here is, again, trail arm gets on top, they get forceful, they get squeezing it, they take the club out, and they spin hard, and now we see the kind of a low, weak slice, or they shut the face late and they hit a quick pull, but it's not hit solid, it doesn't go where they want, and it goes shorter and shorter. What we're looking to do here is create a setup position that allows everything else to happen more naturally. When we hit the ball solid, what we're looking for is to allow the club to come somewhat from the inside, okay? With a driver, we're gonna hit slightly up on it. We're gonna use our body and our rotation to get the club coming around us, as opposed to feeling like we use our hands and arms to force this club. So the first thing we're gonna do here is drop our trail arm, our trail shoulder. You wanna feel like your lead arm, okay, for the right-handed golfer, like your left arm is on top of your right arm, okay? What you'll notice is this naturally sets my shoulders on a little bit of a tilt, which we want with the driver. It sets my hips on a little bit of a tilt. And if I get my hands in the right spot, now I've got some pretty good club face conditions too. I want to make sure the club face is nice and square, but this position allows me to start the swing so much easier. What this allows me to do as I get going is, when I'm in this nice spot, again, this is step one, just get this set up right. I see so many golfers that their setup is just off and they can't move well, and everything else is this compensation as they move through the swing. We're trying to make this as easy as possible, and if we can fix one thing early that fixes 3 or 4 things down the road, I promise you that's way easier than fixing an entire golf swing. So step one of this process is going to be our setup. So once we get into this nice setup position, what now this allows us to do is to actually rotate. Okay, our hips can rotate, our chest, our core, our whole upper body unit can rotate. Now the club can move back into a better spot. We get our hands and arms in a better spot at the top, and this is going to allow us to generate more power. We're already in a better spot just from this setup. Again, shoulders tilted properly, arms in the right spot. Again, lead arm over top of the trail arm. Now if I turn, the club gets into a very nice spot. Again, the opposite. When this right arm gets on top, that makes me want to lift my arm, or if I do turn, it tends to pull the club behind me. Again, both things we don't want. We're trying to make this easier. That's the whole point of it. We're trying to make this whole move easier to repeat over and over again. So, step 2, okay? Now, once we've got into a better setup, now all we have to do is rotate. And again, you don't have to rotate as far as you think. I think this is one thing that a lot of golfers get wrong is they don't rotate in a way, or they think they're moving further, but they're not moving the big parts of their body, and they make up for it with their hands and their arms. They all need to move, okay? And again, I promise you, this isn't the only way to do it. This is just a way that I've seen with students over and over again. It helps them generate more speed, and it helps them hit the ball further, no matter what their age is. So we're set up in here again, and you're just gonna allow this, your whole upper body unit. I like thinking of your lead shoulder, my left shoulder. I'm gonna start the backswing with that, and I'm gonna let this piece move the club back and up. You should feel like the club turns, gets set. You should feel like you're in a good spot, okay? If you can start this turn with some big muscles, okay, you can get this club moving back and up. You can get into a pretty good spot. Again, there's some little checkpoints along the way. I'm not gonna get too into it with these because again, we can't explain everything in one video, but if you can get your shoulders turning and getting your hands behind you, you'll realize you don't have to go as far as you think. And again, that's one of the most common things I see with people trying to create more distance is they go way too far with their hands and their arms, and they lose control of the club face, and everything falls apart from there. What we're looking for here, that setup, okay, check back to step 1. Step 2, okay, that's getting this nice turn, okay, to get the club back into a good spot. If you can do this, you're already 2/3 of the way there, okay? If you can do this, doesn't matter what the club is, you should have access to more of that speed that you've been losing. The last part we're gonna check in on here, this is where everything happens, is how do we deliver the club to the ball? I find a lot of people, they don't realize that what they're doing in their swing is creating a really unathletic move. The golf ball is, with a driver, it's teed up. If not, it's always on the ground. We see so many golfers that chop down across it, okay? And that just won't work. The ball will get up in the air because the clubs have loft, but that's not an athletic way to swing, and we lose so much speed, so much distance and consistency because of that. So what I like to do with golfers, again, I work with students all the time on this, is I want them to feel what it would be like if they can get the club throwing out and away from them, okay? So this move of, if, again, we have to go through step 1 and step 2 first, because if we get the club outside on the way down, it just doesn't work. But just creating the feel of the club moving out and away from us, it's really fun to see how your body reacts to that. I'll go stand, or I'll put something up here with students, and I say, just make a little half swing, okay? And then feel the club get out to this point out here. As opposed to the average golfer who fights this over the top, slice, weak contact. If we can get the club moving from a little bit from the inside and flowing a little bit out, it feels more powerful. And that's where we create this natural speed, not this forced speed that gets us all in trouble. So that last bit of it is, again, when you're swinging through, I want you to feel like the club can extend down the line. You can start really small with some moves here. You don't have to make big swings. What you'll realize is you can swing very slowly or smoothly, and you'll notice that the contact will start to get better. I'll show you what that looks like here, okay? So this would be, if I want to feel like I'm letting this club flow, we've talked about that before on this channel, we'll talk about it again. If we can get this club moving with ease, we're gonna hit it better, we're gonna hit it more solid, we're gonna hit it further. So what we don't want to see is if I swing through and I get the club too far outside because of things that happened before, and I try to add some force to it, my follow through finished way left, the club face was wide open, I didn't hit it anywhere. Now, this is that feel. Again, you're gonna start with this nice setup, make a couple little practice swings, feel this club head moving, and remember, your goal here, The setup stuff is the start, but as you're working on step 3 here, the goal is just to get the club to flow out and away from you. You have to manage the club face. You got to make sure the club face closes, but you're going to feel like this club flows. And what you'll notice is if you come a little bit more from the inside, the ball will fly straighter and you're going to have a way better time finding the center of the club face. That alone is the greatest indicator of ball speed, is hitting it out of the center of the face. Hitting it out of the center of the face is by far the most important part to creating the distance that we want. It's what the pros do, it's what top players do. They hit the center of the face more often than anyone else. Most golfers have the speed to hit the ball as far as they want, but they can't find the center of the club face. This little move, again, you're gonna feel like it comes more from the inside. You're gonna let the club flow out and away. Imagine you're gonna throw the club and you're gonna try and throw it down the driving range. If you were to let go, it would be out here. The swings most golfers make, if they were to throw it, they would go this way and they'd throw it into the ground right in front of them. So that's a really easy feel, okay? We're looking for something simple and easy. That's this, again, a good spot at the start, a nice setup, nice turn, and then feel like you're throwing the club down the line. So as we come back to this, again, each step creates the next part. If we'd missed the first step, it makes the second part harder. If we miss the second step, it makes the third part harder. It's not overly complicated. And again, this isn't necessarily the only way to do it. It's just a way that I've noticed has worked very well for lots of students that I've coached. So you're gonna get this setup. We're checking back in again, okay? That nice setup, okay? Club face is square, left arm is on top, okay? Right arm's underneath, okay? And you're gonna feel like then from there you can turn back. I like get this left shoulder rotating, okay? You're gonna feel your chest move, your hips move. Club should end up in a nice spot at the top. And then from there, this is the most important part. This is where we make contact. How do we get the feel of the club moving out? We've all heard about not being over the top or shallowing the club. Again, a bunch of these technical terms, okay? And they can be confusing. They make sense to some people, but not to others. If you can just create the feel of the club moving out from you, okay? And what you'll notice is if you get that club moving out and away, the club starts to speed up without you adding a ton of force. That's the whole goal here. How do we create more speed? How do we hit the ball further without having to work too hard? So if we put this all together here, this is what it looked like with a full swing. We're gonna get set up. I'm in this nice posture at the start. Left arm is on top, start with the setup. Everything falls into place, a nice turn. And then we can swing. And that's what we're looking for. We're trying to put this whole piece together. If you can get everything working in sequence, and again, it's not going to happen overnight. This isn't a tip that's just going to go fix things instantly. I think that's where a lot of people struggle, even with these YouTube instruction, is they want something to go and fix them immediately and stay forever. And unfortunately, that's just not how this works. You're looking for incremental progress. You might take it and it might work one day and it might not work as well the next day. But the last thing you want to do is then go searching for the next tip or the next idea, because as soon as you start chasing things, you'll always be chasing things. And even though they work for a small amount of time, it doesn't mean they're going to work consistently. You're looking to find something that makes sense to you, that resonates with you, that you can apply every time you go to the golf course. Again, I can't say that strong enough. It's not going to fix it immediately, but it can help. And if you stick with it and you keep working on it, you should see some improvement incrementally as you go along. As coaches, we want you to get in love, or we want you to enjoy the process of getting better. Too many golfers just want the result of the best scores, and the process or the improvement or the practice frustrates them and they want it too quick. Their expectations get too high and then they don't get any better because they move on too quickly. I'd love to be able to give you a tip that would fix you forever, but unfortunately that's just not the way it goes. My goal with these videos, like I've said before, is not to fix you with one tip. It's to create an idea. It's to create a learning environment that helps people get better for the long term and also helps them enjoy this process. You'll notice in some of my other videos, the concepts may differ depending on what we're working on, but the feel of it and the community around it should stay pretty consistent. I try to make it fun, I try to make it enjoyable, and I try to make it as clear and concise as possible without giving you too much information at one time. Oftentimes when someone comes in for a lesson, if they can take one thing out of it, that makes a huge difference, and that's often all they need. Too many thoughts from a lesson doesn't usually translate very well to the golf course. So if you enjoy the game like I do, and you have the desire to get better, look at it as a long-term process. And if you can enjoy each part of the game more, I promise you, not only will you have more fun on a day-to-day basis, but your game's probably going to improve. Try to find some consistency in what you're working on, and then from there, you should see results when you go to the golf course. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Stick around for more content because, again, I promise you, the theme or the energy around the videos I put out remains pretty consistent. Thanks for watching.